Okay, back with another live stream. This time I'm going to go back to work on my backup. So I'm backing up my 5 terabyte USB Seagate USB drive to my 8 terabyte Seagate USB drive. And there's a problem that I've noticed. See, my file looks good. Sound look good. Yep. Okay, there's a problem that I've noticed. Can't get into when you try to go into something. This is on this Seagate the 8 terabyte, which it only shows to be 7.2 terabyte. Here in the file manager in Krusader. Well, I mean that's what it really is. It's in some places it shows to be 7.3, so it's somewhere between 7.2 and 7.3. And then the 5 terabyte drive is really only 4.5 terabytes of space. Anyway, when you try to go into this folder, I don't know. At first I thought, now that one I can go in there because it changes file permissions. But I noticed it was these ones, the newest folders. Oh yeah, I just realized that. 12, 22, 18. Oh, that was the last time I was worked on that? Or is that the actual date of those folders? Now I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess that was the actual date they were written originally. So it is keeping the dates. But those are yesterday's dates. That's today's date, actually. And I can't get into those folders. So something's going on. And that's why I didn't set it originally. That's why I tried to keep the file permissions originally. Because I didn't want them to be all owned by root and me not be able to do what I need to do without having to fool around with changing file permissions. But I did that folder just to see if I could do it earlier. And so I still have Krusader opened up, in root mode, like right here. And let's do something. Let's go to the 4.5 terabyte drive. Let's see, it's actually organized in a different way there. Okay, yeah, these here. This is the last thing it was writing. Okay, I didn't mention that. I let it run all night last night. It's been backing up, but boy, it nearly. Especially after running all night, the machine is barely responsive, So I rebooted it this morning when I got up. Then I let it run another few hours while I was doing something on my another machine. Excuse me. And it got pretty slow by the time I got back to it. I don't know if it's 2-4 hours, somewhere between 2 and 4 hours, I think. But let's see. Oh yeah, let's get. This is in root mode. I wasn't really thinking. I can't tell if I have the permission. Of course, I have permissions. I do have permissions as root. So now that is a file I just made. I actually went ahead and used Krusader to make that folder and copy that. I just did my Google takeout. I got some of my data from Google. I actually just need to go ahead and do it all, I guess. But last time I tried doing it, I went ahead and selected using zip files. It gave me. And I think I did everything, all my data. It gave me 200 and some odd zip files, all of them two gigabytes, I think it was the max size. And so I just selected what I thought I really wanted right now because Google Plus is closing. I thought, well, I'm going to get all my Google Plus posts. I don't have many. Really, all I have is my videos are automatically posted over there. But I did do a few manual posts. I never used it much. My blogger sorry. My blog, I used to do that. I used to blog a lot, I don't do it so much now because I got to where I just do videos. Sometimes I do. Lately I've made a few posts just to be able to have one page to put all my reference links in a video description. Works out pretty good. But anyway, let's see. Can we get in that? Yep. See, what I'm wondering is, okay, this is on the 4 terabyte drive. I can get in there, but on the 8 terabyte drive, I can't get in there. I can't say my numbers right. I keep getting confused. looking at what it says up there, 4.5 terabyte drive, that's what it really is. But of course, what they're named is 5 terabyte and 8 terabyte. Anyway, I can't get into that folder, but I can the original backup. So everything worked fine. I have permission, just like I said, and I thought, what if I'm mistaken? What if I do have problems? But it's not. I set everything up in Lucky Backup to tell, it's selected that I'm backing up to an NTFS drive, so whatever needed to be done worked, and everything is accessible as just regular user Don. And one reason why I went ahead and stuck with the NTFS, because I knew I could plug it into a Windows machine and it would still work. But with it, that's not, just that one convenience is not worth. And there is a program, it's ext2fs, which I know it'll work with ext3. I don't know about 4. It may by now. But it was originally written when ext2 was the main Linux file system. But they did keep up with, the changes to ext3, and I haven't tried it in ext4. Is the reason I don't know. So anyway, but it's a pain. I remember I used to do more of that, trying to write files back and forth between Linux and Windows, and it was always a pain with file permissions. So basically, that's what I'm running, since it's an NTFS drive. See, it's the way NTFS or FAT32 handles file permissions as compared to the way Linux file systems handles it. Well, ext, say Linux file systems, that ext4, 2, 3, 4, there. I guess they were made to be used on Linux, from what generally when you read about it or see, that's what you read. But people just say what I was just saying, Linux file systems, but really there's a lot of different kinds of file systems. When I was researching which one I wanted to put on this new drive, I found some more that I never heard of, and I remember I specifically wanted to go check on BTRFS because I remembered that it had some cool features, and they're still really not quite finished with it yet. I mean, they're finished with it, but it's still fairly new, as I guess as file systems go, and all of the features are not fully functional. Well, I guess I don't know. I can't remember the details. I made several videos on it if you were interested in anything I found on that, but they're in my previous videos. But anyway, well, for one thing, there wasn't really any, I'd use GPARD. There's several graphic user apps that you can work on, repair, and do all kinds of things to, ext4s and even LVMs now and stuff. But BTRFS doesn't have much but command line work that you can work on it with, and that's just too hard. Number one problem right there. But then they also kind of warned you that they kind of said don't use it. I think if I remember right, I don't know if they said flat out said don't use it in a production environment. That's what they usually say if it's really kind of close to beta software. But anyway, I got the idea that I know that ext4 is the most really stable. Well, ext3 was too, but I don't have to worry so much about like with NTFS. I didn't want BTRFS to end up being as easily to break as I don't know if it's as easy to break as NTFS. I doubt it. But I decided that I'd rather go with the ext4. But I think that BTRFS might play nicer with NTFS files permissions. I think, I'm not sure. But anyway, the big thing about it was it's kind of got its own built-in RAID. It's kind of like a software RAID. It does its own backing up and things. It's its own. But it's all when you do need to recover something or anything, you got to do it in the command line. There's a whole bunch of commands to learn. So I decided to stick with what I already know and what I know works well, and then that I can do in the graphic user interface for the most part. Pretty well. I don't really do any. I never dare to do file system editing, well, other than using test disk to recover lost partitions. But it has a wizard in it, what I call a CLI. People call a regular command line a CLI, command line interface, but what I remember when I learned it growing up in Linux, uh, CLI is something that has, you don't just have to know the commands, it's got an interface inside the GUI, whether it's a wizard, text with type, that tells you type A, B, C, or some of them have an actual thing you could, move to and then hit enter, or even use the mouse in some of them. But anyway, I'm off on a sidetrack. What I need to do, so back to where I was at. So these all, open up just fine. Downloads, for instance, opens up just fine. But over here on the 8 terabyte drive where it's been backed up to, can't open it up as user Don in Krusader. But I can get in Krusader root mode or super user mode. And, of course, you can still get into downloads there, right? And you can get into downloads over there. So let's see. Let's keep track. Okay, music. See, I can't get into music. Now what I can do, I can right click, and it's kind of funny. See, it says Seagate expansion drive, and it says Seagate expansion drive. I thought that was going to be changed. I thought it would have said something, because when you see it on the desktop, for instance, it says 8 terabyte volume and Seagate expansion drive. I thought maybe when you saw it in a file manager it would do that, but it doesn't. So you still have to pay attention. Where are you? 5.7 terabyte free out of to 7.2 terabyte, 1.9 terabyte free out of 4.5 terabyte. So I'm going to right click over here on the 8 terabyte drive, go to properties, go to permissions, and see it says owner can view and modify. Nobody else can do anything. No access. So I'm going to change it to view and modify because that's the way I want my backups to be. Oh, I just realized something though. Well, I'm going to leave it as owner root, I think. Let me check one that I can get into and see. But I think I'm going to need to leave it as root. And it may take a little bit. When I did that other one, it didn't have that many files on it. And so it didn't take, there it goes. It should be done now. Okay, so let's go see if music is, and that wasn't long at all. Yeah. Now I can get in there. And that was, I didn't think to mention it, but, well, let's see. Let's go ahead and look at the properties of that folder. It is 78.2 gigabytes. That's a backup of all my music. And most of that is my personal music. I recorded 2 albums over the years, and I've got all different versions of the file, different versions of the songs and different file formats and stuff. There's a lot of other stuff in there too. And then there's the, the working files and all that stuff. And then there's all other kinds of different things. There's some music that, that I downloaded and stuff, but most of it is some sort of audio or music that I did myself. So anyway, that's important stuff to me. Now the favorites is the one I fixed already. Downloads is still not fixed. Now let's see see if we can see the file permissions. I'm in user Dawn here. Yeah, it won't let you do anything, but you can read it. User root. Okay, now let's go into one that I haven't changed yet, but that already worked. Yeah. Let's go to a previous date. Oh, I can't get into that one. Can't get into that one. Oh, can't get into that one. Now that brings up what I'm going to see if I can, I didn't realize there were so many that I couldn't get into. I thought there was just a few. I wonder if I had changed those. Let's see what those are. Dawn. That says user Dawn. Now that's what I really think I would want. I'm not sure really, because I want this to be compatible on any system I plug it into. And if it's a Linux system, it usually works for me because I just, anytime it's my system, my username is Dawn. I do that. But, of course, the only sure thing that's always going to be the same is the user root. But when you have root privileges, it causes real headaches because, like, even though I said read write world read and writable, that's what they used to call that in Windows anyway. I guess they do in Linux too. Even though I set it to that, that does not mean it always, when it's owned by root, that doesn't mean that's always true. If I try to do something with it as Don. So I'm kind of wondering about how I should do that now. That right there is a backup of, and that may have just been, that one there is a backup of my from my home directory. So, and it's just my dot folders in this system right here that I'm on. So that should be Dawn. So maybe it has those file permissions because of that. I was hoping that whenever I changed those settings, but actually the original settings tried to keep the original file permissions, but it didn't. Original file permissions allows me to go into any of those folders that I'm not able to go into. Like there's videos. You see on my 5 terabyte drive, I can go. I've had, been renaming and doing whatever I need to do in any of these files all along. So it's not that you would normally have trouble in a Linux system, because that's the way I've always done it before. I never used NTFS before as a backup drive. I've always used ext3 or 4. But on my old system, I've got 3 at least hard drives full of backups, and I always used ext3, and didn't run into all these problems. So you end up with, and using Lucky Backup, you end up with the file permissions that they had to start with is what you end up with if you set it to do that anyway, to keep the file permissions. So now I'm saying, okay, now number one thing I'm wondering is, can I don't want to sit here and do every folder if I don't have to, one at a time. I've already tried this, I'm pretty sure. Now something about when I reformatted that, see, now that one's called Seagate Expansion Drive. That is the 4.5 terabyte. I'm going to go back and forth because my brain just, and this is the 8 terabyte, but it's got this UID or whatever it is. long, looks like auto-generated numbers, But if you go to trying to get back to dev disk by UUID. See, that may be exactly what that is. Yeah, C1A280. So that's it right there. Disk by ID, that would be coming from the drive itself, I think. And disk by path, and that is I do not know what kind of path that is. I've always seen it, but I don't know where. I've never needed to know that, so I've never bothered to learn. But what the heck is, PCI 000 colon, all that stuff. Then there's another one by part UID. Oh, I guess that's part of the UID. I'm not sure. And all this can be used. Now here's part label. I don't know why they have it so many different ways in there, but they do. I usually use, I try to use a human readable one, it's actually, there's something that I used to see all the time that I'm not seeing in the Fedora 28 here in the older versions. That's just a more human readable one. That, I guess, is the most human readable, but it's so darn long. Used to, you would see, the actual name of the drive, like the one that would come up in software when you look at it. And the only thing there that tells you, that Seagate 20 expansion 20 drive, the basic, and then but Microsoft. So I know that one is the NTFS drive. Anyway, that's where that weird number comes from. And we're in. Okay, I want to get. I'm just going to make it equal for now. Okay, yeah, we'll get back on the Seagate expansion drive. All right. Well, let's get on the one that we're working on. Okay, so I'm going to try. I think I already tried this, but let's see. I'm try to change it the whole drive all at once. Well, the problem with that, though, you can't do any operation until it finishes reading and calculating the size. And that could take a while. I think you can go ahead and click over here and look at it. Okay, see, I've already set it to that. And I changed it to Dawn. I wonder if all this this new round of backups is changing the permissions back to root because of the way I changed the, you know, don't try to keep file permissions and all that stuff. What I did maybe, the reason I did it is because I wasn't getting all my files. It was some of them, I was getting errors on some of them. At least that's what I think, that's what I remember, or maybe I'm all goofy about it. That might be why that's owned by Dawn on that one folder, because it hadn't been written to again. Now I'm wondering if my changes to Lucky Backup are actually going to cause me more trouble. But the thing is I want to make sure I get every single file. I don't want to miss nothing. And I was seeing empty folders. Now, I was having a hard time. It says 1.1 terabyte. Oh, well, on this drive, I guess that's all there is on there. Okay, so that's all I've gotten copied so far is 1.1 terabyte. I'm going to go ahead and try to do it as Dawn and see if it gets changed. And used to, when you did that, you would get a progress bar instead of it just sitting there like that. But I guess Crusaders decide, the writers of Crusader decide they don't like progress bars. Well, of course, well, they still have one up there when you're copying files, but it's up in there, and I still don't remember it. It was always, you know, like a window like that with a progress bar in it, and I still forget to look half the time. Anyway, that should do it. Should keep working until it gets it done, unless it doesn't work at all. So I'll just have to leave it and let it do its thing. Now, what I'm wondering is, well, I'll find out here in a little bit. Can't really check, you know, on my work there until it's done. I know from experience, especially with that much data, actually what can happen, it can take a while and then work. I noticed it was going pretty fast, so hopefully it won't be taking a really, really long time. And maybe some of those changes is making the program work faster too. So who knows? Might be because I've changed a large amount of folders before like this and had it take 10 minutes or maybe even 30 minutes. Usually if it's getting up towards 30 minutes, it starts overworking the machine. I guess it had a memory hole in it, you know, and memory leak in it, I mean. And in the program when you were using that part of it, and sometimes you wouldn't get through, you know, the program would freeze up. So I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah, there's not. I'm trying to think what else I can look at or do. Well, what I was saying a while ago is not getting files. So well, that's got. Oh yeah, that would have new backups to it. That was already set as user Dawn, but that may be, like I said, because all these other directories are owned by user Dawn. Downloads, pictures, all that. Well, unless I copied them from another machine, but in the 4.5 terabyte volume over here, you know, a lot of these backups came from, like, I just went ahead and, like, if I had my own downloads or my own documents or videos in another machine, I just went ahead and put them in the videos folder, because I learned from my previous backups that I used to kind of try to keep them organized by machine, and it gets you get lost. Things get lost. You just don't know where to look for things. And I still do that. You can see where I have, like, well, that's Mom's machine. Of course, I want to keep that separate. But I still have separate, like the old that there. And I try to keep out things like standard folders, though, but I didn't. Well, actually, what happened was I'd forgotten it was backing those up, and then I realized it when I set up that backup, and then I changed it. I stopped it and changed it. I never have went and cleaned it out. But see, there's very few in there because I went ahead and changed that profile and and set, documents to documents. I had to customize the profiles instead of just saying homed on to Seagate backup drive. That's kind of the way I used to do it. And then all the dot folders would just be right in there, and that makes everything confusing to read, hard to find things. And the other thing is, well, then okay, after a while, I changed to see that was Fedora. The reason I started making some special folders like that is because that's for Fedora 23, and I always want to keep it for a while in case I ever want any of that stuff out of there. Because there's things in there like, like your sticky notes. They're in there somewhere, like maybe in config or something. I don't make sticky notes much anymore, but there's things like that in there now. The actual configuration files or the trash and stuff like that, you don't really need. You don't want it, but it's really can get to be a pain to try to make sure you don't get every little thing you don't want. Now things like that, TI programs, I might actually want that. If I ever put those programs back on this system, I might want my configurations out of there and stuff. So I'd like to keep that stuff at least for a while. Usually I keep it for several years until I end up needing space or something. And anyway, say there's a Dell laptop. So I have some the configuration files out of it. I didn't say what version it was. So I'm telling what, I think I have a domain on it now. I'm pretty sure that was Fedora. There's some downloads. Oh, looky there. There's some Windows files. So that could have been a bunch of stuff from when I had Windows and Fedora on it for a long time. So, and yeah, some of that see, now some of that actually would be better off in my regular downloads folder, and then some of it's probably not needed at all. What's this? Bunch of files. Yeah, see, I haven't went through that, but it's time consuming, and I don't get it done sometimes. Anyway, yeah, IBM server. The only thing I backed up in there was my the mail, the system mail, and my website stuff. So I think that's the best backup I've got of my website, the most recent. I do have several other backups of it over the years in my old machine. But anyway, oh, it's done. Manually backing up. Now let's see if it worked. Let's go back in here. And this is in the Seagate Seagate backup drive. The 8 terabyte one. I can go into music, favorites, which I already could do. Downloads, I think I couldn't do. Downloaded videos. Yeah, I couldn't go in there. I remember that. My phone 3. So I think it worked. So good. Documents. Yeah, because see, I was running into all kinds of things I couldn't get into. Okay, now here's some VirtualBox VMs that's empty. And notice it's further down on the list. Well, that's an important one, actually. VirtualBox VMs. Now, what drive are we on this side? Okay, we're on the 5 terabyte drive. Now, see, it's not empty. So I don't know if it hasn't. It's evident. What throws me off is, okay, modified. It's organized. I have these things up organized by modified date. Well, the last thing, this is down in here, and see, this has been written, or has it? That hasn't been written yet. That has Lenovo 5 Fedora 28. That one has been written. It's over there. Let's see if it would have anything else left to sync. See, because I've ran it all last night and for several hours this morning. It should be up to date. Well, there could be new things because, I've been running my machine. Yeah, because a lot of that stuff would be getting changed pretty often. Hope this is not too much for the machine. This is kind of resource hungry when you do this. So let's see. I'm thinking that it wasn't such a good idea to do that. Yeah, it wasn't. I'm going to close it right now before I get in some trouble. I'm going to close the other, now that I've been going on and on and on, so I can't do, it looks to me like just you know, there's, seems to be more folders on this side by, you know, two more, it seems to be two more folders in there than there is on this side. Don't know why it would be there that way. And that's why I wanted to see what that was, but I'm not going to be able to do that while I'm, at least not while I'm making a video, I don't think. So I'm not going to risk getting the machine all, you know, slowed down and even locked up. Krusader, that syncing in Krusader could do that. And for years, I remember, I don't know what they're saying about it now, but years ago I read that they were wanting to phase that syncing function out. They didn't think it worked the best, and they didn't want to keep up with it, but they haven't. It's still there, still works, and I still use it. It's not as good and as accurate as as using Lucky Backup or some other backup tool, syncing tool, but it's certainly a lot quicker to just do it manually that way sometimes than it is to set up a whole profiles and you know, do it that way. Once you get your profile set up with Lucky Backup, it's definitely way faster, but it is tricky to get them set up right. But the other backup tools, I don't. One thing I like about Lucky Backup, I don't want you may have noticed, and I never think to mention it, my backups are not compressed, and that's on purpose. Lucky Backup will compress them, but I don't want them compressed because I learned a long time ago any file over about 1.5 gig is liable to lock up your machine if you try to open up that zip file and look through it. Well, you can do it actually in Krusader. It depends on what kind of file it is. Zip files and a lot of other compressed files, you can just click on them or hit enter, and it will uncompress them right there inside of Lucky Krusader, and you can look through them, and you can even extract files, copy files out of them, and stuff like that. I clicked on my where is it? My Google Takeout. That one is 1.2 gigabytes, and it's a TGZ. It opened up in another program instead of just opening it up in there. I guess Krusader can't do it, or I don't have the plugin installed, probably. And I looked through it and everything like I wanted to do, but every time I clicked on a file, it had to extract it into a temp folder. And in Krusader, if it's a supported file, then it'll well, it still does that, but it's much quicker, and it's like seamless. You don't really notice it. It takes a while when using that whatever other. I didn't even pay attention to what program it was. It was earlier today when I set that up to, you know, they email you when it's ready. It was like a week ago, and it was only a small amount of data. I don't know why it took so long. But and there was an error with something. I think it was something to do with Chrome, but I did get my Chrome bookmarks, and that was the thing I wanted. So anyway, that was oh, and like I was saying earlier, I don't know if I finished saying, there were 265 or something like that zip files when I said I wanted all of my data. That was last year, and I wasn't going to sit there, and you had to download them one at a time through the links in the email they sent you. I wasn't going to do that. Well, this time they just said, okay, your data's ready, go to this link. And so I went to I went to the link and it said log in. So I said, oh, well, wait, let's make sure this is not a spoof email. So I went to, you know, I have my bookmarks of where that page is, where your data downloads are. And I went there. Then it still did ask me to log in, so but this time I know I didn't get there through an email link, and it wouldn't, you know, not going to be a spoof or redirect or anything. So went in and logged in, and then saw that it was actually only 1.2 gigabyte, and that downloaded while I was watching it, you know. So I haven't run I haven't run Lucky Backup again since I did that, so you know it's not going to be on this side. But anyway. over on this drive. But my downloads, let's see, I kind of went blank. Yeah, they're in different orders. See, they're not. See, that's Fedora modularity is on top. They're organized by newest on top. 2/2/19, 2/11/19. Oh, the dates are getting changed. Oh crap! I hate that. That's not working out the way I wanted it at all. I'm about ready to just reformat this drive and start over. I swear. Before I get too far along. Now that's a mess. I hate that. It's very important to know when you downloaded those files and how old they are. You know, just so you can know which one you want to use when you have more than one. Because a lot of times they don't tell you the versions. You know, it's just it's got the same exact file name, and maybe I put a 1 or 2 or something, or the downloading. You know, for the Firefox put 1, 2, 3 on them, and yeah, that really throws things off. I just now noticed that. You see, all the original dates are on the ones on the NTFS drive. Let's go. Let me go look at. Go ahead and get back to my home directory so I don't end up messing anything up. Make sure my backup video is still being made there. I think I'll leave it there so when I come back, I'll see it again here in a little bit. Okay, now what? Okay, now that I see that, okay, I need to look in Lucky Backup. I'm thinking that my settings are not making things better, but actually worse. Let me check my recent changes to the settings. Oh, I just now realized to check my stream health. It's good. So make sure the sound's still good. Yeah, well, accidentally. Okay, there we go. I hit some kind of key by accident. I thought, uh-oh, now what did I do? Now, there is one thing that's a possibility, and that's if I've set this up in regular user. Well, then I was afraid I wouldn't have permission to get some of the files. That's why I didn't do that. But that would, for sure, everything that would then be, couldn't be root permissions. They would have to be, you know, Don. Maybe, as far as my permissions, having to keep a read. But now that I see that I can redo them within less than 5 minutes, it's not a big deal. Looks like I was able to do the whole drive. From sampling through those directories that I couldn't get in before. But so here's the profile, 5 terabyte to 8 terabyte backup, and this is really just to get it's kind of a one-time. Well, what I plan on doing is I'll keep on doing it every day until I get ready to stop using the 5 terabyte drive, and then all my backups will just go to the 8 terabyte drive. So it's kind of a temporary setup, you know, I'm still letting my normal backups go to the 5 terabyte drive, and then everything, I just have the whole 5 terabyte drive be backed up to the 8 terabyte. So anything new that gets put on the 5 terabyte gets backed up. Okay, so yeah, I didn't. That's the only thing I said. Don't get cache folders and don't get trash. That's just those for sure I don't need. Some of those others. Temporary folders, well, sometimes what it considers a temporary folder you might not consider a temporary folder. So, so I didn't do anything in that section. Let's see, options in there. Now here's where I change things. Preserve ownership times. Oh, okay. Preserve permission. There's where I think I got myself messed up. And then preserve permissions. Well, now since I didn't say preserve permissions, now that's why they're all turning to root. But my problem was, why I did that was because I was seeing empty folders that weren't getting copied And I think I looked in the, the log and saw that there was file permission, file permission access errors, not able to access, and I don't know. Well, I don't know why, except for that I've always had that kind of trouble. Crazy things that makes no sense between NTFS and Linux file systems. And it's this time I didn't expect it because everything on that NTFS drive is world read and writable. So I thought, okay, I know that they don't, their file permissions are done so differently that they just have trouble reading each other, working with each other. And so I thought if I turn those off, that would fix everything, which I haven't seen anything that I haven't been able to copy. But now there's that times, that really, really, I don't like that. So now the only way to fix that is to either delete those files or it'd probably be quicker and easier to reformat the drive than to sit there and manually. You sit there and manually delete those files, and it will take forever, a whole terabyte of files to be reformat it in less than 10 minutes. So that'd be really the thing to do, I guess. And really, well, trying to preserve the permission, I think, is where it doesn't work. But preserving the ownership times, I think that'd probably be okay. Because, NTFS and ext4 both have an owner, by name, by username. So it shouldn't have a problem with that. I remember that too, from the past. And then the times, that should be fine, and that I want to keep. That's the number one thing I want to keep. If I have to go back and manually change the permissions like I just did, that's not too bad. Except for when I get up to, however much data I have there. I think I know I want the times the same. I think the permissions is where I'm going to have trouble transferring them over from the NTFS drive. So I'm going to, oops, I forgot to, the validation seems to be okay. Okay, but yeah, I'm really wondering if it would actually work out now. I'm wondering if it would work out better. Well, no. I think if I tried to do it as Dawn, I would very likely have files that it couldn't copy. And that I don't want. So, yeah, ownership and times, okay. And if it's a root file, it'll be root. And if it's a Dawn file, it'll be Dawn. That should be what happens. I know it would in Linux, from Linux system to ext4, but from an NTFS drive to ext4, now I'm in a kind of a mess. Okay, yeah, permissions is, I know, I'm pretty certain I can't, that's just going to give me trouble again. Now, okay. Well, it's not that big of a deal, I guess, now that I see exactly how much data I have on there. That's, I guess that's already saved. I didn't think that automatically saved. I guess it's okay. Okay. Yeah, there was only a terabyte of data on there. And see, like, for instance, yeah, that's got, video's getting bigger. The, actually, I guess if you, 5.7 free out of, yeah, I just can't do that too well in my head. I can't do that in my head. It tells you right there, though. And then this one, 1.9 free out of 4.5. So there's about 2 free out of 4.5. I'm tired. I'm tired again. I always end up doing these. I had other things. Well, I've already had a whole day and I'm tired. So that's my excuse. So, let's go back in that drive again. I want to confirm, do I really want to reformat the whole thing? Nothing been copied over there, manually or anything. Don't believe. I'll make sure I didn't do that. I did think about this before, about having to reformat it and start over. But, yeah, I don't know why those VMs didn't get copied. That's weird. I mean, maybe I guess they're going to be. I was worried. This is what had me worried. All these empty folders, see? Older dates on them, but they're empty. I think, let's see. Let me see if there's any way I can, already closed it, but open that lucky backup again. Let me see if there's any way. I don't think I have anything. Let's see if I have anything. I don't know what I've done. Maybe I already, there we go. Oh, my website's blog from the Maxter 80 gig HD. Yeah, I did. I think I already, guess I already did. I'm pretty certain I already did that. Yeah, that was the one that was in the IBM when it was my server. And my home directory, my DON directory, my home partition, I was able to get all those out of there. And it was a root that was broken and I couldn't get into it again. And there's nothing else in there. Okay, so yeah, I've been doing pretty much everything as super user. Oh, I just, whoops, mistyped on how many letters. Felt my fingers hitting in between the keys. Okay, so yeah, well, for this to run automatically on boot, which might not be such an advantage actually, because I've been having to be. Well, right now since it's not going to get done, If I reboot my machine in the middle of the day, like I did earlier, then what I did was, I rebooted it and I needed to go in the other room and do some stuff anyway. So I went in the other room, did some stuff, and came back, and I didn't log in. I came back once or twice, but I didn't log in until I was actually ready to sit down and get on the machine again. And so it had already missed the 10-minute window, and so Lucky Backup had already shut down. The script had already shut itself down, so it didn't run the backups. But if it starts running this backup, then the only good way to get out of it that I see is to just reboot the machine. Now I can deselect that and then only select it when I want. Well, right now I want it to run every time I reboot. Well, not every time I reboot, but I want it to run. I want to reboot when I'm getting ready to go to bed, like tonight. I want to reboot and have it run automatically, and let it run all night. And so anyway, it's kind of a pain. Figuring out a convenient way to have it run. Of course, I could do it manually, but, well, you can't exactly do it manually. You either select it or deselect it, Now, if it was its only, I could make a separate profile just for doing that. But, well, actually, no, because I want that to run first, then that, and then this. They run in the order that they're in there. Figured that out, and that works out perfect. Because you want to go ahead and get your newest backups, from your system to the 5 terabyte drive, and then back up the 5 terabyte drive to the 8 terabyte drive. And of course, yesterday I was messing around trying to get my phone videos backed up with over SSH, over the network with FileZilla, and that didn't work. It kept getting up to about 1 or 1.5 gigabytes, and then failing and trying over and over and over again. So I'm wondering if it would work in here, but I have to do I have to set up pre-shared keys and all that stuff. Right now I'm worried about this. So Let's see. All those files with the wrong. Why did I get in here? I've already forgot. I don't need to change any of this setup. This is the way I want it. Okay. I just need to skip newer destination files. I wonder if that is causing some sort of weird. You know what? If the dates are wrong on those folders, yeah, I know I'm not in there again. If it's giving it, now see, here's one, just now realize, major problem here, okay. Maybe that's why some of those are empty. 12/22/18, that's the day that it made that folder, but the day of, let's see, rescue, 6/28/18. So it's newer, so it's skipping it. There we go. That's my problem. So I need to deselect that. Normally that's a good thing. This is the first time I really remember having a problem with that setting, skip newer destination files, but that's why it is skipping. That's why it's skipping these empty. Now, how come they were empty? Well, they were empty in the first place, I guess. What had happened, let's see what these are. See if there's any different kind of permissions in there. No, everybody can view, and it's even executable. So whatever that thing is, I don't know what that is. Looks like it says Bulldog, but it's BDGUILOG. Rescue disk logs. Okay, rescue CD logs. That would be, I'm not sure why I saved that. I guess that's from a Windows, well, surely I didn't run a rescue CD on this machine. Well, no, that's a Windows virus rescue is what that is. I'm wondering why that's even in there. But it was just, I just kind of chose that at random among the folders that weren't, system volume information should be a Windows thing too. I guess that's what a lot of thing is there. Okay, videos. Yeah. 12/22/18. Videos 2/3/19. Well, that one shows to be newer, but 2/10/19. 12/22/18. But now I'm starting to think that everything's really out of whack. Okay, yeah, everything's out of whack. If these dates are older than the folder's date, evidently it's going to skip them. So yeah, that should straighten that out then. Okay. All right. And the only way I can really completely straighten out the mess that's in now, I think, is to reformat. So let me look through my settings again. So we're not going to skip newer destination files. And what I was worried about is, if you don't skip them, really, from what I remember, that's meant to do not back up source files that are newer. Do not back up source files that are newer on the destination. That's meant to speed it up. I don't think it would overwrite a newer file. I don't think. But this is not going to matter in this case because this is, well, it might, at least not initially. Now, later on down the road, it could end up mattering, Well, if I backed up from different sources, that's when it would matter. And right now, I'm not going to be backing up from different sources. I'll just have to revisit everything. What I plan on doing is just changing these up here. Their source will stay the same, but their destination will change from the 5 terabyte drive to the 8 terabyte drive. And I'll take the 5 terabyte drive, I'll quit plugging it in. I'll probably take it out of its case and put it in a machine. Maybe this machine, we'll see. But Okay, so I want to preserve ownership and times. I don't think I can preserve permissions. I think that's how I ended up with those empty folders to start with. I think. Unless it had everything to do with just the skip newer destination files. Preserve permissions. Yeah, I really wanted that to be able to just leave the permissions like they already are on that drive. I'm going to try it again because now that I see where my empty folders come from skipping newer destination files, maybe I really didn't have a problem. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that can transfer right, though. Once it got changed to the NTFS type of file permission structure, which is what evidently happened when I backed everything up on there, I don't think they can be preserved, but we'll see. I'm going to leave it like that because that's what I really want, is everything to be just like it is on the drive. You know, world read writable, owner the same. If it is a root file, leave it a root file. If it's a DOM file, leave it a DOM file. So I'm going to try that. Okay, yeah. Now, and that, okay, well, I guess you don't have to, only time I guess you have to hit save is when you actually, like if I was to deselect that, then it would make you want to change it. I guess if you're just modifying each profile, then it doesn't make you do that. Okay. Normally, I mean, using Lucky, whoa, sorry, Lucky Backup for years, and once you get it set up, you don't have to mess with it. It just works in the background, but so there's a lot of things to forget over time. Okay, so yeah, there's not going to be anything in there that I was wondering about that. Oh, yeah, I have that stuff backed up though. What I was wondering is there's an auto run and that little icon. Those actually came from that other drive, I guess now, which is not necessarily what I want. And that's where that PDF came from, I just realized. I have a backup of those files. I don't know if I actually had the forethought to yeah, backup, had the forethought to copy those files. What's that? Oh, there they are, main partition files. Those right there. Had the forethought to copy those in there first, you know. Of course, they might. Yeah, they probably since they should be newer, they shouldn't be getting overwritten. I need to do that. I need to copy all those onto it. Well, that start here when execute really wouldn't matter, I don't think. But like auto run INF, let's see what it's. Well, that's the Windows auto run INF. Should be the same. Yeah, icon Seagate. Oh, I see. There we go. Not much to that, and it's probably going to be exactly the same on the 4.5 terabyte drive. I'm going to say it differently every time, evidently. Don't know. Backups, clones. I don't know what those are. Oh, screenshots. Partition failed. Oh, that was when I was. Oh, those are actual backups of the NTFS file system. That's what those are. Now I remember. In case I needed it back. Yeah, one of them didn't actually work right, but I don't think it would matter. Those are there should be a little different than the original ones on the 4 terabyte. Now this is the 4 terabyte, 4.5 terabyte, 5 terabyte, whatever way I should say it. Auto run INF, yeah, exactly the same. And okay, so. Yeah, that's something I would like to do just to kind of be safe. Well, for instance, if I wanted to plug it into a Windows system, I might need that auto-run INF stuff, and I'd want the one that came with the drive, not the one from the other drive. And I mean, like I said, Windows can't read an ext file on its own, but there is that application that I think will still make it work. It's called ext2fs or something like that. Yeah, ext2fs is the name of that application. But anyway, now what I need to do, I'm going to do that. I kind of hate to. Let's go back in there one more time. I just want to, let's look through it a little bit more. I don't want to delete anything, delete this and before I know for sure I don't have anything on there I want. Yeah, there's not going to be anything in there that I want. I wonder how many of those folders are actually empty anyway. It's funny which ones are. It almost seems random as to which ones worked and which ones didn't. Okay, so yeah, there's nothing here that's not already backed up on the other side. Yeah. Okay, so 17.2 drive. I'll make sure I'm looking at the drive I think I am. Okay, there's those settings I just did. So the only thing I really changed now is skip newer destination files. I'm going to go ahead and try preserving file permissions. If it doesn't work, if I get errors, then I will take that one out. Okay. Oh yeah, I've already showed all that. What the way it was, no access and all that stuff. Okay. Leave that like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and unmount. Well, I have to unmount both of them. I can't reformat it while it's mounted. But I want to go ahead and unmount this one and unplug it so that I cannot hurt it. Well, I don't have to unplug it actually. Or do I? Let's see if it, see how it shows up in there. It may still show up since it's plugged in. Gparted. I do remember now that I had some problems in formatting that drive. I had failures and stuff in there. I can't remember what all I had to do to get it to work right. I almost want to name that thing. That was automatic though, 8 terabyte volume. It came from the system of itself, so I'll leave it alone. Sometimes when you give the name you want to, it actually fouls things up for some reason. I guess it fights with the system, what it's handing out, the firmware on the drives and stuff. When it's USBs and SD cards and things like that. If it's a hard drive, well, even with hard drives, because they do the same thing. Well, I thought about this earlier today or last night or at some point that I might have to do this. And I'm kind of surprised right now that I'm doing it, but I think this is the best way to straighten it out. Better to do it now than way later. Sure, it's taking a long time to start up Gparted. I don't know if it's because I left the 8 terabyte one mounted or what. No, it shouldn't, because I mean you can't unmount your system drives. You give if you unmounted them, then your system would crash. So I open this up all the time. I just unmounted that 5 terabyte drive because I didn't want to accidentally get it and reformat it. That would be Absolute disaster. Usually, I used to always keep it plugged into the front of this machine, and I knew exactly which connector it was plugged into, and I would unmount it and unplug it. But it's plugged into the back, and I'm not even and that's it's hard to get to. Was the first thing I was thinking, but now I realize I don't know which one's on the top and which one's on the bottom. They're stacked up in a row. I don't know why that's not opening up though. But usually it doesn't take near that long. I hate to get in a rush. If I force close it, then it may not ever open up again until I reboot the system, is what I'm thinking. Of course, when I get in there, even if that other drive was still mounted, I would be able, you'll see which one it is, but sometimes you can just do some silly things. Actually, that may usually don't see G-Parted doing this. I'm really kind of quite flabbergasted as to what's going on. And the reason I left it mounted is because sometimes these USB drives just flat don't show up to G-Parted if you unmount them first. Sometimes I swear it's kind of almost random. Sometimes it's fine and sometimes it's not. So I thought, well, I'll leave it mounted, then unmount it and G-Parted. But don't know what's going on. G-Parted bin, G-Parted, PK execute. That's what's running under G-Parted. I think it's not working. Let's see. Well then. Still running. Even though I closed the window there. Alright, I'm going to try ending the process. Maybe that'll allow it to straighten up. I was afraid of that. Probably won't be able to, let's see. Probably since it's under root, it will most likely say you can't do that. Oh no, it's going to ask me. Okay. You can't dilly-dally when you're answering that, or it won't do it quick enough. Now that right there, okay, it's going to close along with it. That's what I was wondering about. I wasn't 100% sure what that was part of. Okay, I'm going to unmount this one too, because the only thing I can think of is maybe that caused a problem. And okay, now I'm going to try G-Parted again. Well, let's try that other disk out first. Disks, just see what it sees and see if it's going to work right. Okay, yeah, this is my hard drive that I'm running my system on. There's the 8 terabyte. This one has always given works and not works. Especially never worked well with FAT32. But I've tried doing. The only thing it ever did well was restore a disk image. When you used to have to make your Fedora live boot system that way, they don't do it that way anymore. But that was the only thing it ever did really well. It would not always do a good, work right and get errors when you try to format a drive. Now see, here's the 5 terabyte drive still there. It has a little Windows partition of 134 megabytes at the beginning. That was the backups I did of the 8 terabyte drive, and the big one is the one that failed. The little one is the one that worked. And so yeah, that's the one I don't want to mess up or anything else. I just want to do the 8 terabyte. So, even though I'm not on the 8 terabyte drive, Crusader still hangs on to the drives that you had looked at in it. So that might have been what it was. It was Crusader. Just remembered that. Probably was my problem. What is that? Assign footprints to symbols, part of KiCad. Oh, okay. Let's see if it opens up okay now. If it doesn't work, then I will I will have to reboot the system to get it to work again. I haven't had it open or done anything. I don't know why it would. Well, it might have been because Crusader was holding on to the drive. I know if you, well, no, you know what though? I was able to unmount it without an error. Usually that's the problem you run into. If you've been to a drive and you, even though you change the folder you're in and you go to unmount it, Crusader still has a lock on it, and it says it's busy, you know, the drive's busy, some program's accessing it, and you know, then I remember, oh yeah, Crusader does that. Close Crusader, and then I can unmount it. But looks like yeah, something's odd's going on with Gparted. Really unusual. Usually, just when something like that happens, just reboot the system, and then everything's back to normal. I don't know why. You know, usually don't end up finding out what's going on or why. So I may have to do that. And I could, let's see. If I'm going to have to reboot, then I'll have to deselect. I guess I would deselect that drive from my backup settings. And really, I can, instead of rebooting, I could shut down and unplug the 5 terabyte drive so that I can't have a chance of messing it up. That's usually how I do what I do anytime I'm going to do any formatting on this system, to make sure I don't hurt. Unless I forget, I have forgotten and, you know, went ahead with it because I just made sure I was really careful. But boy, it's just something you can't undo. You know, if you, well, you don't have a good chance. You can't undo. Well, you can undo. Like I say, if I reformatted the 5 terabyte drive by accident, you might be able to. You have a, I don't know. I think I would start to say like a 50-50 chance, but really you probably have about at least a 90% chance of being able to get the partition back in test disk. But I don't want to go through any of that drama. It just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just taking a long time because I have such big drives plugged in or something. Even though they're not mounted, it still sees them. That's what, you know, this kind of application can do. You actually can't, you don't want to try to do any, you don't want to, you can't do the formatting and reformatting and all that with it mounted. You'd have to unmount it. If either you do it or the program will do it for you, or usually what happens is usually it'll warn you the drive's mounted, you know, you need to unmount it. But if you end up doing it anyway, a lot of times it will cause errors in the drive, and it'll usually be fine after you reboot, but it causes errors and problems. You can't do that. But yeah, all this junk here is why I kind of put it off. I knew I was in kind of something that was going to be a bit of a pain, and I was just dying to get my server finished and out in the garage, and then everything goes in a vicious circle of things going wrong and needing attention, and things going right and get me involved and me interested in it, and then so I just haven't got anything completely finished in a long time now. I keep working on all these different things. But I guess eventually, maybe I'll finish them all on the same week. I was going to say the same day, but not a chance. But yeah, this is taking so long that something is either wrong, or I don't know. Maybe it's because maybe I've either never opened Gparted with all these drives in this machine, or the last time I did it, I just don't remember. It took forever. Just keep saying searching dev SDC partitions. Ah, got done. I'll be darned. Probably the first time it would have worked. Now this is my system drive, the hard drive. This one is 7.28 terabyte. Okay, that's it. And this one is the 5 terabyte drive. And see, it has a little 128 megabyte Windows Reserve partition, and then the NTFS partition with the data on it. Okay. Back on the 7.28 drive. Let's make sure that it's not mounted, but let's make sure it's not mounted. Yeah, see, you can't, well, you said you don't even have the option to mount it there, but it's not mounted. It doesn't say unmount. If it was mounted, it would say unmount. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not trying to fix a broken drive. I'm trying to just quickly get rid of the data that's on there. So let's look at the label. Let's see. Oh, it's, yes, there's not a manual label put in there. And like I said, if you do that, oh, new UUID. Oh. Set a new random UUID. No, I don't want to do that. The one that's there is fine. Yeah, I thought those were random. They looked like those random numbers. There's BTRFS I keep talking about. ext2, 3, and 4. See, there's quite a few file systems that Party Magic can, on my end, Gparted can do. There's another one, Riser FS. That is, you see used in, I've read about it being used in servers. So now I could delete the partition, and yeah, I think I'll delete it and then format it. Seems like that works out the best, because if you just say format it, that sometimes you get errors. Yeah, name, partition, Seagate expansion drive. Oh, okay. Now that's where I guess I could give it a name, like 8 terabyte drive. I might try that. But I hate calling it 8 terabyte drive when it shows up, 7.28. I guess there you go. I guess some programs see it as 7.3, some say 7.2. So some round up and some round down, I guess. What it is. Okay, so make darn sure on the right drive. 7.28. Yes. Okay. Now, you can just click that. Okay, now let's go ahead and do that action. Do you want to do that? It is going to lose data. Yes. Okay, it was completed successfully. Okay, very good. Give me a little screenshot of that. Now, oh yeah, did I have to reset this drive to end up reformatting it? Like unplug it and plug it back in, turn it off and turn it back on. Well, since I have already unmounted the other drive, I guess I could just kill the power to them and then turn them back on. I think I'll go ahead and try to format it, because I guess that's the, oh yeah, this is a hard drive, not a flash drive. With flash drives, you don't have to reset them, but this is not a flash drive. This is a regular hard drive on the USB. Yeah, I think I do have to reset it. I think that's where I ran into trouble last time. I can't remember now. I might be able to go ahead and format it. You know, after deleting everything, I might be able to go ahead and format it and then reset it. Can't remember. So to be safe, to keep from having errors, I think I better reset it. I may have to close gparted. Yeah, if I reset it, I'll probably have to close gparted and open it back up again, which will take more time. But yeah, see, it's taken a long time to reread the drive again. I guess it's rereading all the drives. I definitely don't want to get the thing in a state where the gparted can't see it, though. Think about. Yeah, it should still be able to see it though. Just because it's not partitioned doesn't mean it won't see it. See, it didn't take any time to delete the partition and get rid of all the data. It's taken forever just to search partitions again, search drives. I guess it is because I have these two big old drives, and of course the other one is full of data. I guess. I guess it would have been very advantageous to go ahead and figure out which one it is and unplug it from the USB. Oh, I can unplug it from the drive itself. I don't have to unplug it from the back of the machine. Well, once it gets done doing this, that's what I'll do. Because I do have it unmounted. It's only a bad thing to do when you're mounted. Yeah, I can unplug it, then I can turn power down, power them down, and power them back up. And the other one will be, since it's not plugged in, it won't actually power back up. This is taking just as long as it did a while ago. I think it's because of all the data on that other drive. I'm going to guess on the 5 terabyte drive. So I suppose it would have finished eventually. The first time. Well, I hate sitting here, especially while you're making a video, sitting there just waiting on something to do something like that. I was hoping to get this finished, but I need a break, and I was hoping to get this finished before I took a break. But heck, just sitting here watching this and needing a break is just getting crazy. So, I'm going to go ahead and take my break, and it should be done hopefully by the time I'm back, and I'll just have to, break up this procedure into the tail end of this video and then begin it again on the next video. All right, I'll be back in a little while.